What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the stream. As always, thank you all for taking time out of your day to spend with us. Anybody that's coming in after the stream on the rewatch, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch little of us. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. You know all the good stuff. What's going on, Jake? You ready to talk? Ready to
Let's
hang out?
yes,
Ready to
Lakers
have a good
Nation, let's
show?
get it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, as we were getting ready to do this whole stream, we got news. I'm already seeing Mr. 81 saying notification for Bleach Report. Indiana's willing to trade
Look
with the
at you,
Lakers.
you're on
Miles
it.
Turner, Buddy Hield for 2 unprotected first. Lakers would be really good this year. Yes, I agree. Lorenzo, what is going on? I love seeing the
What's
early
going on,
folks.
Lorenzo?
Love to see it. Yeah, so they got the Pacers. Start there, and then we'll jump into like what the thumbnail says. But the Pacers, they have been rumored for months now about like a potential deal with the Lakers doing a some sort of deal. Originally, the original trade was Miles Turner and Buddy Hield for um, uh, Russell Westbrook, 2 unprotected first round picks, and Taylor Horton Tucker. And they also wanted us to take on Daniel Tice, which is a
Yeah.
3-year deal. Lakers obviously said no, which makes sense because that was more than what the Nets wanted for Kyrie Irving. So that made no sense. And then about a couple weeks ago, we got a report that they would do 2 unprotected first round picks, which the Lakers said no to. A lot of people are divided on that. A lot of people think that the Lakers should have done the deal for 2 unprotected first, get off of Russ, not going to the season with that. You get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Miles Turner and Anthony Davis would be the best front court duo in the league, which I agree with. They would be. Buddy Hield solves our shooting problem. You get a guy
That'll be
that,
fun to watch.
yeah, it would absolutely be fun to watch. And so that's the whole thing. Nothing developed. Lakers said no, pass. Thanks, though. Indiana Pacers, Bob Kravitz, who is a very reputable, known like insider, specifically for the Indiana Pacers, basically said that, hey, the Pacers need to get a deal done. They're essentially desperate to get a deal done. That they don't want to lose Miles Turner for nothing because Miles Turner is leaving after this season. We've gotten the reports that he doesn't really want to be there. He wants to be traded, but he's going to ride it out because he's going to honor his contract and all that stuff. Now, the problem with the deal I have, and then of course I want to hear your thoughts, Jake, is
Yeah.
there are a lot of risks because yeah, inherently speaking, both first, worry about it 5 years from now, whatever. Get the best team you can now, and to a degree, I do agree with that. But the problem is that it doesn't solve one of our biggest problems, which is wing defense. We really need a wing defender, which we don't have. Granted, maybe we get somebody on the buyout market, something like that. Mo Harkless is expected to get out, and we'll talk about him and a couple others soon.
Yeah.
But maybe get something like that, and you could do the deal. Maybe it makes sense. The other thing is that primarily Miles Turner is the thing that I have the biggest concern with. One, he's a flight risk because he's a free agent. Let's say Lakers give up all their assets and he just leaves after this year. He wants 20 plus million. I don't think he's worth that. He's a 12-7 guy, 12.7 rebounds. He is the leading shot blocker every year, but there's more to defense than just blocking shots. He is a good defensive big man. Don't get me wrong. He could play the 4. He could play the 5. Yeah. He also gives us a little bit of Anthony Davis insurance. If Anthony Davis ends up going down for, 20 games or something like that, you got Miles Turner. Problem is, beyond Miles Turner being a flight risk and just his stats in general, the biggest problem is he's injury prone too. He's had injuries as much, if not more, than Anthony Davis the last few years. He's coming off of a season-ending injury. But to be fair, there was a lot of talks that he could have played, that he was good to go. But at that point, the Pacers were already so bad, they might as well have just tanked, and no reason to bring him back, no reason to have him come when he wouldn't have made a factor. But regardless, he still missed most of the season because of an injury. Now, the problem is we do that deal, we do all that stuff. Miles Turner gets hurt. Anthony Davis gets hurt. We're still terrible. We gave up all of our assets, and we're stuck with this team. Because that's the thing.
Okay.
Like, if we do this deal, that's our team for the next like 3 to 4 years. Because you're gonna extend. You're not gonna trade all that stuff to get Miles Turner and then just not extend him or anything. So he wants 20 plus million. That means you're gonna have to pay him essentially 20 plus million. So let's say you even get a discount and it's 19 million. You got him, you got Buddy Hield, who's got 40 million for the next 2 seasons. So there's that. And then you got LeBron and Anthony. That's all your cap room. That's everything. Now it's just those 4 and a bunch of vet minimum guys, which if it's great. If it's good enough to win a championship, then perfect. Then you're a contender for the next 3-4 years. But if the opposite happens and you gave up all your assets, you have no way out. You're talking about now a Timothy Mozgov and Luol Deng situation all over again. And we just finished paying Luol Deng. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
See, and I'll tell you what else too, which is I think it might be a bad idea to do this trade because I think longevity has its place. So as much as I should say I, because you're the optimist, but as much as I have came on here and, said, Russell, we should just, get rid of Westbrook. Here's why longevity has its place, because if we go with those two, we're going to have to start all over, gel again. None of them have played with LeBron. I believe none of them have played with AD, but we're going to start all over again, have to re-gel. So whatever. Okay, sorry.
But he was on the Pelicans.
That's right.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a minute ago. Okay. But we're gonna have to re-gel all over again. So whatever progress we've made with Westbrook so far, it's like pushing the reset button. So correct me if I'm wrong, but how many years was Kawhi Leonard in Toronto before they won the championship?
1 year.
See, 1 year. Okay, so that to me is still kind of rare. You know what I mean? Because you look at the you look at the great dynasties, right? So you got Golden State, you got Lakers, you got Celtics, but all these guys, like I said, besides Toronto, because that was a freak of a nature team too. But that doesn't really happen a lot of times.
Yeah, but to be fair, to add to your point though, is that team was already, they basically just swapped DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. So the team itself had already been there for years. Exactly. You are right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's Kawhi too. The stars can kind of come in and figure it out if it takes a certain type of player. But my point is that if you have to kind of restart again, it's just, I feel like you're just pushing the reset button all over again. So if we want to get back to being a dynasty, I think that we should stick with what we got, unless, like you said, unless a Kyrie, we could use Kyrie because that's a different type of solution to the puzzle, if you will. But it takes time to win championships. I mean, you look, like I said, Golden State, that team was in place before they won that first championship a few years ago. That team was in place for a good 2 to 3 years, I believe. Yeah. Same thing with the Lakers. He was playing with, Anthony Davis, even with the Miami Heat when he was with Bosh and Wade. It still took a year to, gel and practice and get used to each other. So I think you said they did win it for sure.
No, I said Miami didn't win the first. I mean, they made it.
I know. I know. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why it still took them like a year to, like I said, and they came close. They came very close. But that's also with Bosh, Wade, and LeBron. So
at a time where that was like the only. I mean, Boston big three, but they were already like they were old and on their way out.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were really the only big three in the NBA at that time, like superstar level big three at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. I just think chemistry has its place, and I think that, like I said, we're going to be taking a step backwards, at least for those two. Now, like I said, I could see if it was like a bad example, but like a Blake Griffin or something like that. Somebody who could come in, gel with the team quick, and possibly get us to the finals. But I don't. For those two, I think we would be going backwards.
Well, so I don't think Buddy. I think Buddy Hield would be an easy natural fit because he wouldn't have to adjust. Like my problem with Buddy Hield though is he is an incredible 3-point shooter. Don't get me wrong. He is a great 3-point shooter, but he's very one-dimensional in that sense. Like he's essentially a swing and door on defense. There's no defense with his end. He's not, I mean, he can create his own shot a little bit, but not as good as as other players can. But all the Lakers would need him to do is just shoot, essentially just catch and shoot. Like, so LeBron drives, boom, Buddy Hield's wide open, knock down the three. So I think Buddy Hield would
So
be
like a
able to fit.
Birdman for like almost like a Birdman for Miami, or like
Yeah, I mean, it would
a
be
Ray Allen.
yeah, or like or when they had the Machine in Miami.
Yeah.
You know, where like all it was just knocking down threes and stuff. But like the thing is that like I don't think Buddy Hield would be a tough fit. But I do have my concerns about Buddy Hield or sorry, Miles Turner, because yes, he's played with the big before. He played with Sabonis. And he's played both power forward and he's played center. So I think you'd have that natural flow. But he would go from basically always being the like second or third option on the Pacers to like the fourth or fifth option on the Lakers. You know, so is he going to be okay with that? You know, where he's not like there's probably going to be games where he only gets like 5 or 6 touches. Is that something he's going to be okay with? Like, that's something you got to keep in mind too, is that like, you know, a player that's used to taking 15 shots a game, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you're only going to get like 10 or like less. I mean, we saw even guys like in Miles Turner, don't get me wrong, Miles Turner can put the ball in the hoop for sure. But like one of the big complaints with like Rudy Gobert on the Utah Jazz was like he complained that he wasn't getting touches and he couldn't even shoot. But he was so used to getting, you know, and that's a big question with Minnesota because Rudy's going from being the second option to like the fourth or fifth option on the Timberwolves, and that's a concern that I have for Miles Turner on the Lakers team. Is like, is he going to be okay with only getting, you know, a couple touches a game and just basically being a spot up 3 big in the 4 out 1 in offense, you know, because he's going to probably operate as the Brook Lopez, because we're running the Milwaukee Bucks offense. So he's going to end up being just kind of like the Brook Lopez, where 90% of his shots are going to be from the 3-point line. And, you know, he'll get some low post touches and stuff like that, you know, and maybe they switch it and tweak it a little bit because you have Davis and you have Turner. But nonetheless, like the ball's going to go through LeBron. It's going to go through Davis. So at best, Miles Turner is the third option. But realistically, I think you're going to have guys like, you know, like some of the guards like Kendrick Nunn and, you know, Walker and Patrick Beverly and guys like that. They're going to be on the wing, spread out, and probably more open shots. So they're going to be getting their shot. Like, what I'm saying is, like, Turner's going to go from getting X amount of touches game in and game out, being the second guy, stuff like that. It's just, will he be willing to buy into the role that is asked of him, which is just essentially, we need you to play defense, we need you to rebound, and we need you to knock down the outside shot. And the guy's only been a 12-7 guy.
Yeah.
What is he gonna be as like the fourth or fifth option? 9-4 guy? Like, you know, it's
so
like,
is it so no. Is it ego that you're worried about, or is it like performance? Is it like, hey, like it's just my natural ability to, like you said, be 12-7, or is it more so like put the ego aside and buy in?
It's a little bit of both. Part of it is like, you know, because you got to understand he's young. He was like one of the guys in Indiana to now he's going to be like essentially a role player with the Lakers. You know, he thinks in his head, he thinks he's a $20 million a year player. And there might be some team that would give him that, but no contending team, no real team is going to give him $20 million unless they just really need a center. You know, like I just throwing this out there, they wouldn't be able to, but like if for whatever reason the Brooklyn Nets all of a sudden had 20 million in cap space, they're not going to, but let's say that they all of a sudden did, they need a center so bad, they might just give Miles Turner that 20 million just because they're like, okay, he's a shot blocking center. He does exactly what we need.
Exactly.
But like it's only in rare circumstances, rare situations. But if you're the Lakers, you kind of don't have a choice in the matter because you can't run the risk of him leaving. You know, so like you have to pay, like if he wants $20 million, you have to pay him that $20 million because you don't want him to go into the offseason and he ends up leaving, you know? And then it's just like I said, the injury concerns and stuff like that. I'm not saying he wouldn't buy in. I'm not saying that it's always a change. It's always an adjustment, to
Yeah.
go from being a top 2 or 3 guy on a tanking team to like, I'm on a contender. The goal here is to win a championship. And now I'm the 4th or 5th guy. That's
Yeah.
it's a big change for any player.
No, we've seen it before, but it's just
Yeah.
it takes a certain type of mindset. Because like you look at even Kevin Love, which was I think a huge adjustment. Like
Yeah.
he went from being the guy, not just like number 2, number 3. Like Kevin Love was the guy, and he went from that to taking arguably a 3rd seat. Because you got Kyrie, you got LeBron on the Cavs
Chris
team.
Bosh
so it's like,
too.
Yeah, no, really.
Chris Bosh was the guy in Toronto.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that it's because players like that can see the end goal and the end vision. But it would be easy for me to say, okay, well, if he can do it, he's the number 1 guy, then a number 2 guy could do it just as easy. But I think it's the mindset. I think it's the mindset. How bad do you want the championship? You know what I mean? How like you said, be willing to buy in.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing too about because Kevin Love is a great example because Kevin Love, he essentially went from being a dominant 2010 guy every single night to being essentially a spot up shooter in the corner. Like that was his role essentially at Cleveland. And he embraced it and he took it and everything. Like at least Chris Bosh, he got to play center for them. So he was still, his rebounds were still up. He did kind of get relegated to being a stretch big, but he got to get his mid-range touches. He got to get his, low post touches, stuff like that. Like you couldn't play Kevin Love at the 5. I mean, they did in some spots, but for the most part, you couldn't consistently play him at the 5. So he had to play the 4, and like you needed him.
No, he would get banged up down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just needed him to stay there in the corner, basically, and like so he just became a basically spot up shooter for the Cavs, and just completely embraced it and took it. And that's kind of my fear with Miles Turner. Like, is he going to come in and say, okay, like the goal here is to win a championship? So I will be the spot up 3 guy if you need me to. And I will be the shot blocker and I will be the rebounder. Or is he going to come in and be that guy that's like, no, I want my low post touches. I want my, this, that, and the other. Like I'm used to this. Okay, well, you were on a terrible Indiana Pacers team, so of course you were able to do all that. But now we need you for this, for the greater good. You didn't have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on that team. You had in the heyday, you had Sabonis, and now you have Halliburton, and but what other than that, like what do you got? Like, so it's going to be a completely different change. And I think that's something that a lot of people have really talked about. That it's just like, will it work? Because like everyone just assumes and looks at it and goes, man, that would be the best front court in the NBA. Two big shot blockers. Good luck. I've even gotten caught up in the hype myself. Like, I've said like, imagine having Patrick Beverley and Dennis Schroeder as your 2 pit bulls in the very front of the club. You got your 2 big ass bouncers in Miles Turner and Anthony Davis in the back of the club. And then you got LeBron James as the host. Man, like good luck. That would be such a good defensive team. You have size. Fun. Yeah, you have size, you have defense, you have peskiness, you have everything you could ever want on that team. Like that team to me,
any small team is going to get destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, like good luck. But it's just at the same time, it's like when you take a step back and you go, yeah, but will it work out like that? Will can Miles Turner stay healthy? Can Davis stay healthy? Yeah, go ahead.
But it's like you said too, it doesn't fix our problem of like the wing defenders because all right, so you got these bigs, right? You got these great defenders, but can they defend the wing? You're gonna leave because what small teams are gonna do is they're not gonna drive so much, but they're more so just gonna shoot threes and kind of try to shoot us out of the gym. So I feel like you have to have people who can close out, and get a hand up.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I mean Davis can guard out a little bit. So can Miles Turner, but not as much as Davis. Like I said, my biggest.
Hey, let's not forget about Westbrook. I mean, trust me, there's a lot of people who think he's horrible on defense, But if you look at the stats, he's not.
If you're talking currently, yeah. Well, because Westbrook would get traded if they got Buddy Hield and Miles Turner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just like I look at that trade and I think like I see the potential. I see what could be with that team, and it sounds amazing. But then you start looking and you take a second to really evaluate. You go, yeah, Miles Turner is more injury prone than Davis the last few years. Like that's a concern. Miles Turner, does he buy in? Does it work the way that they wanted to? Because one of the big problems was Miles Turner and Sabonis didn't really work. Like there was clunkiness to it. Miles Turner didn't really like playing the 4 very much. Granted, in this case, he'd get to play the 5. So he'd get to be the guy in the middle. It's just an interesting thing. Like I wouldn't be against it. Like, if like while we're on this live stream, there's a notification, that, hey, Miles Turner was in Buddy Hield were just traded to the Lakers. Like I would be like, perfect, great. But I think it depends. I just don't think it's worth both firsts. I think if you can, because if you can do it with only one first, then worst case scenario, Miles Turner, you could probably move in the right deal, especially if you can get him, or you could just let him walk. Like if it doesn't work,
you're talking about him after we get the trade, right? After we do the trade.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, let's say we do the trade, right?
Yeah.
And we give up only one
Westbrook
first.
and one first.
Right? We give Westbrook one first, and let's say a couple seconds or something, or like a pick swap or something like that, right?
Okay.
So we get that deal done, and it doesn't work. It's like a disaster, right? Well, if you have one first, you can let Miles Turner just walk and not re-sign him. And then Buddy Hield, he would be an expiring deal at that point. And now you have that coveted lottery pick that you could use now to move off of.
Now you got some cap space.
Buddy Hield. And now you got your cap space back. And look, the San Antonio Spurs were more than happy to take Russell Westbrook's contract for a first. They would be more than happy to take Buddy Hield because Buddy Hield's contract is like a quarter of Westbrook's on an expiring deal. And now you just basically vetoed that whole trade. And now you can go and get the free agents you wanted to get. So you have that reset if need be. Problem is that if you end up trading both firsts and you get those guys and it doesn't work, that's it. You're stuck, because you can't let Miles Turner walk. So you have to hope the following year is better, but you can't let Miles Turner walk because now you don't get any cap space because all your cap space is in Buddy Hield, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. So you literally have to sign him. And now Miles Turner has all the power and being able to say, like, this is what I want. And you have to essentially give him whatever he wants. And then Buddy Hield, like, you don't have any assets to move off him. Now you're basically stuck with a team that doesn't work for the next, 3 years at least, if not more.
So now do you think if we could renegotiate, do you think the Pacers would accept that deal? The one that you're proposing. So first and Russ.
The Lakers have thrown that out there. They're playing hardball right now, which I do understand, but I do think they're going to cave. I think they will cave eventually. I think they have to, because nobody's banging on the door for Miles Turner and Buddy Hield right now. There's no competition. And the deal isn't going anywhere. So if you're the Lakers, you can wait. You can be patient. It's not like that same deal will be on the table probably till the trade deadline.
Till the trade deadline, I was going to say. Yeah.
And then even then, like how many teams are going to want to go and trade for Miles Turner on a rental? Because now you don't get him for a season. You get him for 3 months. So which team is looking at it as like, man, we're a Miles Turner piece away from being a contender? Nobody. Yeah. Most of the real contending teams already have centers, so like they're not going to need another center. And I just don't see that Pacers deal going anywhere. And the longer you hold out, the more desperate the Pacers are going to get something back. I mean, come the trade deadline, you might not even have to give up any firsts.
Yeah.
You might be able to do it for just like a pick swap and maybe a couple seconds. And then you can keep both first. And now you're really good.
Yeah.
Now you got Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Even if it doesn't work, you got both first to move off of these guys. Like, I think no matter how you shake it, you're in a good position. But,
so do you think that's going to be their strategy? They're going to wait it out, right?
Yeah. I think you at least start with – unless the Pacers just call tomorrow or something and they're like, hey, we'll just do it for one first. Like, then I think you do the deal. But I don't think they will. And so if so, you start the season with Russ and you see what happens. Maybe Russ works out. Maybe you're good. And then if you are, then at that point, it's no point because you could just go sign Miles Turner next season. He's a free agent.
Yeah.
And
if
then maybe,
if they really want him.
Yeah, if they really even wanted him. Yeah. Like, I don't see a scenario
right now, if we get him, it's just to really get rid of Russ. I think that's what.
Well, it's to get a guy that I mean, they would like Miles Turner, absolutely, but it's not a dire need. Like, we have two centers that basically do the same things he does. It's just Miles Turner does it at a better level, and Miles Turner is basically both of the centers that we have in Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones. Like, if you took both of those guys and you meshed them into one player, that's essentially Miles Turner. So you're getting the production of like both of those guys in one player. And then Thomas Bryant can play the 5, he can play the 4. So it doesn't hurt to have those guys. And you have like that Anthony Davis insurance and stuff. But I just don't think it's worth giving up all of your assets for. That's my big problem. But
no, I would agree.
Yeah. Real quick, let's get into some of these. I don't understand Lakers fans' fascination with Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. One of them doesn't play defense, and the other one's injury prone and wants to get paid next summer. I'm with you, SM. That's essentially my argument in a nutshell. Shooters tend to forget how to shoot when they join the Lakers. Who said Buddy Hield would be any different? It's another good point. We've seen that.
That's very true.
Lakers have, and another thing too. I've mentioned this in the past on As It Stands Lakers, but Buddy Hield has never been to the playoffs. So we have no idea how he's going to perform if we were to make the playoffs. He could be absolutely atrocious come the playoffs. He could crack under the pressure. He's always been on bad teams, so he's never had to like worry about that. Let's say the Pacers trade Turner and Hield on their own. Is any team giving anything other than a protected first for Turner? As for Hield, I doubt the Pacers get more than the second. Exactly, that's my point. I don't think any team in the league would give up an unprotected first for Turner. And us giving them Russ benefits them too. Because also I believe I still believe they're under the cap floor. So that solves that problem. Like, they're getting benefits beyond the assets. And any other team is going to want to give up a long-term salary. It's why we just saw Utah have to trade Bogdanovich for a bag of chips, because all the teams didn't want to give up a first for him. And Bogdanovich is better than both of these guys, So like, I just like, however you shake it, like, and he just got traded for a bag of chips because no teams were willing to give up unprotected first, and teams wanted the Jazz to take on salary. The same thing's going to happen to the Pacers. There's not a lot of teams that have a bunch of large expiring contracts. So no matter what, like, the Pacers are going to end up being – the Lakers solved their problem. You still get the future cap flexibility. It helps you get above the floor. You also get an asset for it. You move off of Hield's contract, so that saves you $40 million over the next 2 years. And you unload Miles Turner and get something. Well,
not to mention you got Westbrook, which automatically still makes you a competitor. You know what I mean? Like,
they would buy out Westbrook because they're tanking. They're full tank mode. So they don't want Westbrook to play him. They want Westbrook just.
So they're just trying to rebuild, flesh out.
Yeah. They're trying to get off of Buddy Hield's contract, and they're trying to just get something for Miles Turner before he leaves. So
hence the first 2 round. The 2 like first round picks.
Yeah, that's why they want the picks. They basically want to pick for both of them, is what they want. Yeah. But like I said,
because they're going for youth.
Yeah, they're starting from scratch, and they do have a pretty good young core, which is why it makes sense to move off of these guys for them. But
I still agree their best chance to ever compete for a chip within the last 10 years with Paul George.
The Lakers tax is crazy. I feel it. Lakers tax is a real thing. But the other thing that we'll get to the thumbnail talk is so the Lakers clearly have a need for wing depth. They need wing defense. They could also use 3-point shooting, right? The problem is there's not very many 3 and D guys. It's kind of just one or the other. Because all the 3 and D guys are already on teams. They're getting paid fat. Like, so it's kind of just
they have their roles.
Yeah, it's kind of just one or the other. And so the buyout market is going to be the most likely scenario. Now, we have one roster spot open. The Lakers could either leave it open, just let it go, and then just see what happens in the future. Say a trade comes up, or say the buyout market come the trade deadline. That's how we got like Andre Drummond. That's how we got Andre Drummond. Was that buyout market? That's how we got Marquise Morris. Sorry, tired. It's been a long day. Markieff Morris. That's how we got him. All that stuff. And we could wait and do that. Now, other option is Lakers bringing in like the rookie Cole Swider, who shot 53% from 3 in the offseason, or not in the offseason, in Summer League. Problem is, in Summer League, his defense was atrocious. So you imagine it's going to be just as bad, if not worse, in the NBA. Secondly, he's obviously not going to shoot 53%, because that'd be like one of the greatest shooting percentages in NBA history, if not the greatest. But can he get to like 38%? And then there's your essential Buddy Hield 3-point shooter, but you don't have the defense. But it's not like Buddy Hield lights it up or is a great solid defender or anything like that. And then the third option would be the buyout market before the season begins. So you have teams like the Pacers, or not the Pacers, the Thunder. You have teams like the Thunder. You have teams like the Jazz. Mo Harkless is supposed to be getting bought out by the Houston Rockets. So essentially, it boils down to those 3 options. And Mo Harkless could end up getting, or is expected to get bought out. Mo Harkless, 6'9", 7-foot wingspan. Again, he's the D, but not the 3. I personally think we need that more. I don't think we're going to have a problem scoring. I think we need defense, especially wing defense. We need that big body to guard, the Kevin Durant's, the Paul Georges, the Kawhi Leonard's, stuff like that, more than we need the shooting. But what is your take on Mo Harkless? Again, savvy vet, but he's still young, only 29 years old. He can, he's known for a defender, stuff like that. What do you think?
Because so how many in his contract? What did we sign him for?
We'd get him for, if he gets bought out, it'd be the vet minimum. So you basically get him for like, his vet minimum would be like $2.5 million, something like that. It would just be 1 year. They're just going to do a 1 year deal. They're not going to ruin cap flexibility for him. So basically, 1 year, probably like $2.5 million, somewhere around there.
1 year for 2.5. I don't know. It might be worth it. I think it's the opposite though. I think that we're gonna have not trouble, but I feel like we need more scorers. I feel like the defensive is just gonna come from like, we're gonna be that team that is just like that kind of scrappy defense. I feel like we're gonna need the scoring, and we need to focus on that more than I think we're gonna have trouble on defense.
Okay. I think we have the potential to be an elite defense. And so I've talked about, like, I could see the way that we guard like the Kevin Durant's and the Paul George, Kawhi Leonard's, guys like that, as like through community. So like we have like JTA, we have Troy Brown Jr., we have Walker. Walker has like a 6'10" wingspan, guys like that. So like what I could see is like we play the Clippers, right? Kawhi plays the 4 lot, so Anthony Davis can guard Kawhi. But then Paul George, it's not easy to do in a regular season game, but say we meet them in the playoffs, which is what you really want Mo Harkless for, is the playoffs. Just because you want a guy that can actually make it difficult. But without a guy like Mo Harkless, then very likely what happens is, LeBron, it's just you're always throwing fresh legs at Paul George,
Yeah.
and you wear him down that way. So you throw LeBron guards him, and then 10 minutes later Walker guards him, and then 10 minutes later JTA guards him, and 10 minutes later Troy Brown guards him. And the thing is like I said, it's hard to do that in one game, but over a 7-game series, it's really easy to start wearing guys down. Basically, the greatest example of this is like what teams do to Jokic on the Denver Nuggets, the Joker.
Yeah.
Teams, they know you're not going to stop him. Yeah, he's too good, but we'll just throw a bunch of guys at him. That's what the Lakers did when we beat them in the Western Finals to get to the NBA Finals. We threw Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Anthony Davis, and we just kept alternating them and rotating them. And by like game 5, he was just exhausted. Like he could barely do anything, and that's what I could see the Lakers doing against like a Clippers team or like, a Nets team, something like that, where you're throwing fresh bodies constantly at him, and you're just wearing them down over a long series. You're never going to stop a superstar. You know what I mean? You're never going to just shut him down. But it's one of those things. Like I think he could be a solid piece. But I don't think our defense is going to be terrible. I do think we're going to have at least top 10 defense. I want us to be somewhere in the 5 to 7 range. I think if we're in the 5 to 7 range defensively, I think we might be one of the better teams in the league. Because I think we were top 5 in fast break points and pacing last year. And we were terrible last year. And we were old last year. We're probably going to be number 1 or 2 this year. And then you give us a defense, we're probably going to score 116. I mean, we scored 114 last season. We're probably going to score 116 plus this season. And if we're a top 5 to 7 defense, that means we're probably holding teams to like 110 points. So we're going to win more games than we're going to lose. So that's what it's going to come down to. But that's why I like the idea of a guy like Mo Harkless, is because I don't think we're going to have a problem scoring. We're going to be run and gun. We're going to be, it's going to be about getting stops and getting out in transition. You got guys like Schroeder, Kendrick Nunn, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, who can just, boom, get the rebound. Anthony Davis even can grab it from the board and run it down court. Like all of that. So I think that's going to be where we kind of live on, where we eat on our points wise. And so that's why I think like a guy like Mo Harkless would be great in that regard, because you're not going to get the 3, but you get that big body, and you still have all the other guys that you could still throw at Paul George and stuff. But now you got a guy that's,
if he's quick, it would work.
Yeah. Well, you got a guy that's just, he's a big body that can just, wear on top of the smaller guys wearing them down. You also have the big body to wear them down, finish them off, stuff like that. You keep your big body fresh, everyone else not. I don't know. I think it depends. I mean, granted, he has to want to come to the Lakers, stuff like that, but I think it's at least an option to look out for. But next option that I think could be a real possibility. Again, outside of Mo Harkless, all these other ones are just guesses. Mo Harkless is the only one that's been reported to have been bought out. But Rudy Gay. So Rudy Gay on the Utah Jazz, Rudy Gay very likely will get bought out. There's been reports for a while that that he wants out of Utah, that he's not happy, that even before the whole Gobert and Mitchell trade and stuff like that. They're a young rebuilding team. So they have no need for him. They're not going to play him over the young guys. Rudy is older, and but he does have the size still. He is a savvy vet. He's not as good of a defender as Mo Harkless, but he gives you more of the balance of the 3 and D, as opposed to just kind of the D, or just the 3. So I do think he would be a very well balanced type player. He's not the
veteran. No, I think it'd be good because he's a veteran too. So I mean,
and I really want a vet wing, just for those guys that, like I mentioned earlier, like that you have to
Yeah.
guard. You want somebody that has the experience, that has been there, that's savvy enough to keep up. So Rudy, I wouldn't mind Rudy. Again, he would just get a vet minimum. He's not going to get more than that. It'd just be a 1-year vet minimum deal. I do think
Yeah.
he's a guy that would come to the Lakers. But what do you think? I mean, obviously he's not the grit and grind Rudy Gay anymore, from the Grizzly days. But I do think he could be serviceable enough. What do you think of Rudy Gay? Is that somebody that you'd be more interested in?
Well, I would more interested in yes, and I would like to see him play with Anthony Davis because just the size alone, and I think honestly, if we could figure out a way to, like you said, kind of stop the Giannis, because that's what's going to really, 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 like if we get to let's say we get to the finals and we have to go up against like a Giannis, you're going to need all the defensive tools you could get, all the veteran skill set, the mindset. It will help out in the long run if we could get Rudy. I like Rudy. I like Rudy a lot more.
Okay. Yeah, I do. I mean, like I said, his age and just the type of player he has been the last few years is a little concerning to me. But you're not asking him to play 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Like he's not a guy that you're bringing in to like take over games and stuff like that. He's a guy that you're bringing in to just be that savvy vet. But at 36 years old, that's rough.
Yeah.
I see Bagsky says Rudy Gay is more like Trevor Ariza last year, and that's my concern. Like Trevor Ariza, it was great to get him. It was a nice story, all that stuff. But then you actually saw him play, and you just saw the age, and that would be my problem with Rudy Gay. Because at least Harkless he's at least 29, so he's still young.
Yeah.
So I think he'd give you more, but Gay also gives you more shooting and consistency, I guess. It's just how much does Rudy have left in the tank? Does he have enough to ride out a season, to come in and give you quality minutes, stuff like that?
We'll see what he averaged last season. Well, what did he average last season?
It wasn't a lot. He averaged like, I don't know, it was like 8 points, something like that. Something like that. He played like 19 minutes or something along those lines. It was like I think he played like 18, 19 minutes a game, averaged just under 10 points. But he shot like 35% or something like that from three. I mean, again, if he could give you that, he shoots basically league average from three. If he could give you that shooting, give you that defense, you're probably not going to ask him to give you as much production as like Utah was asking. But I think, can he give you those 8 points in like 12 minutes of play? Something like that. Like that's the thing. And,
I would hope so.
Yeah. Well, and Rudy could also play the 4 spot, because he's got size again. He's a 6'8".
Yeah.
So so he can play the 4 if need be. It's just
If you wanted to go with a smaller lineup, would you play him at the 5? Yeah,
he's not like some guy like Winning Gabriel. You could because he's got the athleticism, he's got the length, stuff like that. Like you see a lot of guys nowadays that are like 6'8", even some guys that are like 6'7", that play center just because they have the length and they have the athleticism. Like Mo Harkless, I think you could probably get away with Mo Harkless because with that 7-foot wingspan, he still has some athleticism, stuff like that. If you're playing, say, the Warriors and they have Draymond,
I was gonna say that,
and they have Draymond at 5. You could play Mo Harkless against him at the 5 and have a matchup that way. But Rudy, I'd be a little concerned. Just one, his age, his length. He doesn't have. I don't remember his wingspan off the top of my head. Let me check that out real quick. But yeah, because I'm pretty sure. Oh, I guess he does have the wingspan. It says he has a 7'3" wingspan. So I mean, I guess maybe he could. I guess maybe you're right. He's not like I said, he's not the freak athlete he once was. But
Yeah, no.
yeah, I didn't know his wingspan was that long. I thought he was. I knew it was over his height, but I thought it was under 7 feet. Well, he's got a 6'3" wingspan, so he's got a good wingspan. Like I said, I wouldn't be.
Well, that's why I
mad.
asked, because you're seeing a lot of teams go to the smaller
Yeah.
the smaller lineup, even as a reserve lineup. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean it's possible, especially with that wingspan. He probably could. I just think it depends on the matchups. But again, I'd be concerned with his age, how much you asking him to do that. But I think you could get away with that. Yeah, like I said, I didn't know he had a 7'3" wingspan. It's pretty lengthy. I wouldn't be mad. Like if we got a notification right now that the Lakers, that Rudy Gay's getting bought out and going to Lakers, like I'd be like, okay, that was a solid pickup. Like, I just kind of lean towards Mo Harkless a little more because I just think he gives you all the things that Rudy Gay gives you outside of the shooting, but it's not like Rudy Gay shoots 38, 39%, something like that. Like if Rudy Gay shot like the lights out, I'd be like, okay, like yeah, I do that. Harkless 31, 32% from three. Can Harkless, being with LeBron and Anthony Davis, can he get to like 34%, 33%, to where he's still not at league average, but he's close to where like teams actually have to respect it. Yeah, and he's younger. That would be my only thing. But outside of that, here let's any chance David Nwaba gets bought out? I don't know. I mean, it just depends because he went to OKC in that trade. OKC has to buy out like 3 guys or has to unload 3 guys. So he may be a possibility, but my problem with Nwaba is like, one, I mean, we had him on the team, which is kind of funny, a couple years ago. But also he doesn't have the size that we are looking for from the wing depth. Which would be my other concern, because he's a shooting guard. He's 6'5". That's like all we have on this Lakers team is a bunch of like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guys.
yeah,
like we need somebody that's like 6'8", 6'9", even like a 6'7" guy, something like that. Somebody with some size.
You get another like Anthony Davis, like not skill set, but like height, even height wise.
Like yeah, I mean, I don't think we need another center. People have said like, why don't we look at like DeMarcus Cousins or stuff like that? Like, I don't think we do. Another real option that doesn't get talked about enough is Wenyen Gabriel, who is already on the Lakers. He's 6'9". He was great for the Lakers last year, although it was a small sample size. The only thing the Lakers told him was they told him when the season was over, like, if you want us to renew your contract and opt you into this team, we need you to be an efficient 3-point shooter. Yeah. And the Lakers took his contract back this season. So I would imagine that the Lakers did their due diligence and actually made sure that he could shoot before they just said, okay, we'll just give you the contract. We'll just take your word for it. But according to Wenyen Gabriel, what Wenyen Gabriel said this entire offseason, all he did was just watch tape to figure out how he could be effective next to LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Westbrook, which I love to hear. And then
that's
and then he said all he did was just shoot like 1,000 jumpers a day or whatever. So if he can, he's, because many of us think like, that he's going to play the 4 or small ball 5, which is what he's played basically his whole career so far. But if he can knock down the 3 at an efficient clip, then there's our 3-and-D wing. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we need to draw plays. We need to set his screens. We need to like have him come. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Especially at 6'9" and his athleticism and just like his engine, he's just a high.
And nobody's gonna expect it. Nobody's gonna expect that. Nobody, and they're just gonna leave him open. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, especially after the last few years. Just the way he's performed. But yeah, I mean, he's always been a power forward guy. But I think he's a guy that could really surprise a lot of people. I really do. I think he's a guy that could really come in, earn a spot, earn a role, and be effective, be efficient. He's still young, 25, so there's a lot of room and upside for him still.
Extremely young.
And I mean, that's somebody that's at least worth the discussion, at least worth mentioning. As Im also said, I think the Lakers' plan is to play Lonnie at the 3. So as of right now, based on the information that we've gotten, Schroeder and Westbrook, Westbrook, we'll do it in order. Westbrook and Schroeder are supposed to play guard, or supposed to play the point guard position. Nunn and Beverly are supposed to play shooting guard. Then Austin Reeves and Lonnie Walker are fighting for that backup small forward spot. So Lonnie's definitely going to play, and I do think Lonnie's going to win that just because of his size and length. And they gave him that mid-level exception for a reason, which a lot of people were surprised by. So I don't think I don't think they did that to have him be the, fourth or fifth guy off the bench as a small forward. Again, he has 6'10" wingspan, so he's got length. And then the whole three ball. He's last year he wasn't great from 3. He was like 33, 34%, something like that.
Yeah.
But he's had years where he shot like 40%. So can he get back? I'm not saying he has to get to 40%, but can he get to like 36%? Because now he's above league average. Like that would be great, But I definitely think he plays a lot of the 3 spot for this team. But last sort of guy that I wanted to talk about as a potential, and then which I think is also the least likely, but I think it's at least worth a talk, and then we can kind of wrap up the stream. But so the Phoenix Suns are currently imploding right now, and Jay Crowder. So Jay Crowder,
like you said, they would.
Yeah,
you called it.
Yes, and Jay Crowder is not at training camp. Him and the team have agreed not to while they try to work out a trade. They're actively trying to trade Jay Crowder, but it doesn't seem like there's any bites right now for him. If they can't find,
did they just not get the return on investment though? Like, why? I don't understand that. Why get rid of Crowder?
Because of all the locker room things and things going on behind the scenes and stuff. I mean, we don't know all the details because it hasn't been released, but apparently, like he's done with the Suns. He got into it with players.
This is news to me. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I don't know how true it is, but like we got the reports, and then like shortly after, the Suns announced that they're trying to trade him. I don't think that's a coincidence. You know what I mean? Like, so there's obviously something going on.
So it's not the encore; it's more so locker room stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's not his production.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I mean, Crowder has been great for them the last 2 years.
Yeah, and so if they can't find a trade,
he's young.
Then it's very possible. Because then, what is the other option? You either buy him out because he is an expiring deal. So you either buy him out, or you bring him back. And then what? He's gonna, oh, hey, buddy, like, like, no hard feelings, like, right, I don't see that. I don't see that working out. So if he was to get bought out,
love to have Crowder.
Yeah. So I'll let you have that in a second. But just for people that are listening, like, so Jay Crowder has already said he would welcome a Miami reunion. So if he gets bought out, I'm like 99% sure he goes to Miami, because I think 1, he'd get a bigger role. 2, he'd probably start with Miami. 3, he already played for them and went to the finals with them. So he's their kind of guy. He didn't have, like, he had issues in the Cavs. LeBron shipped his ass out. And then he's had issues with the Suns now. The one place he hasn't really had issues is Miami. So I think he would go there. Other thing is that even if he did want to go to Lakers, would LeBron be okay with that? Because LeBron and Crowder have a terrible history together, and they hate each other. So granted, they're professionals. The goal is to win a championship. You put that shit aside, and you ride it out as a team. But what are your thoughts on Jay Crowder? Assuming, let's say he wants to come. Let's say he's like, hey, you know what? I do want to go to Lakers. 1, do you think LeBron James would go about that and say, okay? 2, what would you want him? And then 3, what type of role would you see him in?
I think LeBron would go along with that because at the end of the day, we know LeBron James to be about one thing, and that is winning. Like at the end of the day, we know LeBron wants to have as many championships as he can, but I feel like he's still chasing that magic 6. Yeah. We can get into that on another stream, but that's what he's chasing, but that's the goal. You're going to play the sport, then that's what you need to chase. Chase championships. You want to be the greatest, and I think LeBron has done that better than anybody. Has put all of that aside and be able to work with players that he doesn't really agree with, or coaches that he doesn't really get along with. So I think he would welcome it. They would need I would like to see the trade, if it's going to happen relatively sooner or later, especially before the trade deadline, like sooner, because if that way you could get in the locker room, get to practices, because preseason starts Tuesday, but we don't expect to see LeBron on the court or any starting really file on the court, because that normally happens in the preseason. But I do think that I like Crowder. I do like Crowder. Crowder he has a lot of potential. I think playing with Davis too, if he could get like that aggression that could rub off on him, I think he could be a beast. Is it just me, or does he not seem as aggressive as he could be? Like he's aggressive, but I feel like he's holding back on the court. And that's my only drawback with Crowder though. But no, I like him. If he came to the Lakers, the role that I see him filling is probably stepping in for Davis when Davis is out, or you could play him at the 4 and just create a wall like down on the post, and then no teams is really gonna want to really mess with you. So like Joker, Giannis, like all the really tall like 7-footers, you're not really gonna have that much of an issue with, especially later on in the runs of the playoffs. So
yeah, okay, yeah, I think if the Lakers were able to get Crowder, I think LeBron would do it, because I do agree with you. He's more about winning than anything. You got to do what's best for the team, for the organization, stuff like that. So I definitely do see him at least them having a discussion and being like, okay, now once he gets there, I think he would be that perfect vet 3-and-D guy. He's played bigger. He's a guy that can play the 3, can play the 4, which is what we need. I think Jay Crowder would be the best option out of everybody that's available, or at least thought to be potentially available. I think if you could get Jay Crowder, you do it. Even if LeBron doesn't like it, I still think you do it. Just because, like, as long as like Jay Crowder is willing to buy in and just kind of, like, I don't know, like if I'm Pelinka, I'm pulling LeBron in a room and I'm like, hey, Jay Crowder wants to come here, we're getting him. If LeBron's like, I don't want that guy, I'd be like, dude, look, we need his type of play set. We're here to try to win a championship. If you guys win a championship, you guys will be making out in the back. Like, relax. Like you guys hate each other right now, but winning solves everything, because it does. Winning does solve everything. If they're winning, they're going to be best friends. So I don't think it'd be a big issue either. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this buyout market. It'll be interesting to see if the Lakers do anything, because obviously they could leave the spot open. If they do the Pacers deal, then they probably don't have a spot. So then there goes that. There's just so many things on the horizon, but I do think it's very interesting. But anyway,
winning solves everything. Really quick.
Yes.
Here's just fun little question for you. KD, do you think he stays with the Warriors if they win that championship that year that him and Draymond were feuding?
No, I still think he would have left. Because I don't think he left for any other reason than like he felt scorned. Like I think the owner basically saying, he was joking, but like, come on, the dude had that liquid courage, basically saying we don't need Kevin Durant. I think that was strike one. I think the whole Draymond fight and that whole thing, I think that was strike 2, especially with what Draymond said, we don't need you. You can get out of here. And then,
and some other chosen words.
Yeah. And strike 3, but yeah. And then strike 3 was basically them not winning anything. I think regardless, he would have left. Even if they won, I think if anything, it would have given him more of an excuse to leave. because he would have looked at it as like, we won 3 straight championships. I proved like myself here. Let me go elsewhere and prove something else. I think regardless, he was gone. I think that was it that year. I just think, he would have went. And hey, look, the Warriors proved that they didn't need him because they just won again. So, I guess Draymond and the owner were right. and Kevin Durant hasn't gotten out of the second round since he left. So,
and it only took the Warriors 2 years to get back there? Yeah, 2 years. I think.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened if everyone didn't get hurt? So, that's pretty interesting too. But anyway, any last thoughts? Any last words before we skate on out of here?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited for the season. I'm excited to get this thing going.
Well, good thing is our next show will be Monday, and Monday is the day before the first preseason game, so we could talk about preseason, kind of break down what we want to see, what we think, stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. That should be exciting and fun. Real quick, shameless plug, as it stands Lakers, because I know everybody that's subscribed here subscribe there. So everybody, I just got a video up on Miles Turner and Buddy Hield trade talk, stuff like that. Go check that video out after this live stream. Again, Jake, thank you so much for handing out. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Appreciate y'all. Tell a friend. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, like this video if you haven't liked this video. All of that stuff. And we will see you all in the next one. Thank you.